Good evening, Irish fans, and welcome once again to the The Irish Fan Podcast. My name is Danny, where I am not an Irish fan. I am The Irish Fan. Thank you so much for joining me. We're going to get into tonight the Georgia Tech big win by Notre Dame, and eventually we'll get into talking a little bit of Navy and previewing them. But first, please like, share, comment, subscribe, and also I haven't mentioned this in the past, but please click the notification bell. And that helps you. It'll prompt you whenever I post a video. Hey, the Irish Fan Podcast is up. I need to get that in the earbuds so that I can listen to and talk some Notre Dame football. That would be greatly appreciated. It also helps the algorithm get out this podcast on YouTube, which that's all I got right now, and that's okay because YouTube is great. But so enough of that house cleaning. Notre Dame 31, Georgia Tech 13. I believe there was a guy, there's a podcast somewhere out there who predicted that score. Oh, wait, it was me. I predicted that score. But, I just know my team. I was talking to my dad this weekend in the car, and he's like, man, you got another score right. And I was like, yeah, I know my team. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing because it could have been a little better, honestly. My overall take, I know I said I would, before I get in the take, I know I said I'd record on Sunday so I could get a fresh perspective on the game, or at least you guys would get my fresh perspective on the game. That didn't happen. Life gets in the way. Kids get in the way. That's okay because we love our wives and our kids. Thank you, babe, for letting me do this stupid podcast. And you're upstairs right now, so I really appreciate that. 31-13. It could it have been better? Yeah, it could have been. Having that said, I mean, they dominated the game. They did. The game was never in doubt. I know Georgia Tech scored first, and we'll talk about that. But the game was never in doubt. I mean, it was never an issue. I never was worried that Notre Dame was going to lose this game. Now, I was pissed, a little bit anyway, that we got off to another slow start where we somehow we get the ball first. And by the way, why do we keep losing the toss? I know that we're losing the toss because Marcus Freeman likes to defer to the second half. So it means if we win the toss, that's what we're going to do. And we're getting the ball every single game first, and that bothers me because I like that philosophy. I like being able to get the ball at the second half because you can put together at the end of the first half a quick score, and then get the ball back in the second half to get another score and create a big lead. That's the strategy. That's what Marcus Freeman likes to do. And we have not really been able to do that this year because we keep losing the stupid toss. But from the toss, we get the ball, punt. They get the ball, score, and then we're down 7-0 just like that. Same thing happened against Louisville, but we fumbled that kickoff, and they ended up scoring that touchdown. But I won't go back and open those wounds. We won that game. We also won this game. And again, it was never in doubt. It was by all standards, a dominant, quote unquote, performance. Especially when you consider the hospital wing of the Notre Dame football team that currently exists, and the players that are just dipping out for reasons, Jade Mickey and a couple other guys, Jason Onye, one of our starting tackles, who we could really use right now. But again, he's out right now for personal reasons. It's his second game. I've heard nothing in the Notre Dame media sphere and from Marcus Freeman in his press conference if he's going to be back for Navy. I don't think he is. And judging by what I'm hearing anyway from some insiders is, again, I'm not the insider, but from some insiders that he is not going to be back for a couple of games. Again, for reasons we have no idea. We're mushrooms. We're not allowed to know. Not even a hint. Nothing. We get nothing. We get nothing because we're fans, and then we're good for nothing except for a whole lot of money. But again, it's a whole other podcast. Getting to the game, score 31-13. Someone predicted that. I think it was me. I predicted that because, that's what I do. That is what I do. And I'm bringing it up again because just in case you didn't know, Notre Dame If they win the game, if they won that game, the Georgia Tech game, they have like a 64% chance of going to the playoff. If they lost, they would have had a 20% chance. And if you didn't hear me, I'll say it again. They had for winning 64% chance of making the playoff, losing 20% chance to make the playoff. If you're picking up sarcasm there, I'm laying it on really thick, because if you watch the game, the broadcast, I know they need talking points, and I know it's ESPN, and these guys do a quick little update on what Notre Dame's season has been like. Oh, they lost to Notre Dame, Illinois. They got a 64% chance of making the playoff, 20% chance if they don't. Let's talk about that over and over and over and over again during the game. Oh my gosh, that's honestly my biggest criticism tonight from this game is that it was absolutely ridiculous, and it's part and parcel to the 30,000-foot view that I've been trying to talk about and discuss about all season. They're going to keep hammering this home. We need to not forget about this NIU loss, and I'll mention it every single podcast. We can't forget it because the world is not going to let us forget it. Okay? The world will not let us forget our biggest mistake. And getting a little too deep here, but that's life. Whatever your biggest mistakes are, and they're out there and they're known, they're in the ether, the world will never let you forget what you did wrong. We lost to NIU. We're never going to be released from that until we make the playoff and perhaps win a game. That's what we need to do. That's the goal going forward. Win a playoff game. That is now the goal. And it's been the goal for the entire season. But obviously the goal we need to continue that goal, is to win a playoff. We need to continue with that thought process, that mindset. And we need to have that loss and other not that we have other losses, but other season losses, like all these injuries. We need to have that as motivation. We need to listen to these broadcasts, and we need to listen to all these idiots out there who think they know college football, who think they know Notre Dame football, and are just making a paycheck in their empty suits. By the way, Notre Dame, if they won that game, they had a 64% chance of making the playoff and a 20% chance if they of not making the playoff if they lost. Just in case you didn't know. So again, this all goes into the 30,000-foot view. We got to continue looking at that. We got to continue thinking about that, because this season is hanging on a thread. If we lose, of course we're out. If we lose to Navy this weekend, of course we're done. It's over. And we don't have to think about going to the playoff because we're not going to go. If we keep winning, we're going to go. It's as simple as that. Forget that 64% garbage. If we win, we are in. It's just plain and simple. But, man, they want to write that story. Oh, they want to write that story. They want to write Notre Dame 11-1, not getting in the playoff, and it's probably because you're not in a conference. They are desperately wanting to write that story. That's why they keep repeating themselves. That's why they will not let us forget about this NIU loss. And the goal for them is to eventually get us into a conference. I talked about that last podcast. If you did not listen, please go back to the last podcast and listen to that, because I talk heavily about Notre Dame being in a conference. Should they join? Do I think they're going to join? And all that stuff. What a conference is. It's a really good listen. Please listen to that, because it gives you a lot of context and insight on why Notre Dame's not in a conference and why everybody wants them to be in a stupid conference. Everyone wants Notre Dame to be in a conference. And so the broadcast was talking nothing about 64% chance of going to the playoff if they win, and a 20% chance if they don't. And by the way, they need to run up the score if they can, because they need those style points. Notre Dame does not need style points. It would be nice, don't get me wrong, it would be really nice to have the style points, score a little bit more points and kind of bury your opponents. I want that. And as Notre Dame fans, we should want that too. But we don't necessarily need that. Now, seeding we might. If we want to host a playoff game, yes. We need to start scoring some points. 31's not going to cut it. 24 offensive points is not going to cut it. And that's really where the metal meets the road. Where that's really what I want to hone in tonight, and at least on this game, is this offense, man. I just don't see it. I mean, we're at least not what it should be. And there's plenty of reasons why it is where it is that are not necessarily the coach's fault or Marcus Freeman's fault or Mike Denbrock's fault or even Riley Leonard's fault. The injuries has been a huge problem. You can definitely tell that the injury bug for the offensive line has been a big problem. One of the big reasons why Riley Leonard has failed to be an efficient passer. Having that said, he's had a very decent last 3 games. He is being used exactly how he should be. He shouldn't be running for 150 yards and 4 touchdowns. We have Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price to do that. But the threat of him running is far more valuable, and his the threat of a downfield pass is obviously far more valuable. He's at least doing it. He needs to do it a little better. That first quarter interception was just as bad as the NIU interception, only in the opposite direction. In the NIU interception, he underthrew the ball so bad that the cornerback just undercut the wide receiver and intercepted it. This interception, he just chucks it down the middle of the field in double coverage. He already predetermined he was going to throw this football, threw it way too far. And if you didn't know who he was trying to throw to, you would have thought he was trying to throw to the safety. It was a perfect pass to the safety. And horrible pass. Again, he's still is not. He's not a very good downfield passer. He is getting better, but he's not a very good. He's not very good at it. He's just not. We're again. He's not going to be benched. I'm not getting what I want, so I'm going to try and do the best that I can to be honest, fair, objective, and also positive. Let's read his stats for the game. For the game, he had 203 yards. He was 20 for 29. That's almost 70%. It's 69%. 203 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. 1 very, very bad interception. Passing, that's very, very. I mean, that's not even average. It's not even average because there's no touchdowns. However, he did rush for, I think, he rushed for 2 touchdowns and I think 56 yards. So total offense, 259 yards, 2 touchdowns, and that pick. That's a little bit better. That is how he needs to be used. He's finally being used how he should be used, and that's good. That's really good. That's good for Notre Dame. That's good for Riley Leonard. It's good going forward. We need to get better. We just got to keep getting better at downfield passes. I mean, it's still not good. It's still not where it needs to be. It's still not what we were told at the beginning of the season, what we were going to see. That's really one of my biggest complaints and one of the more frustrating things about watching this team is we were told over and over again, oh man, what this offense could be, man. Oh, what it could be under Riley Leonard. Oh, we needed to go get Riley Leonard. Specifically, Riley Leonard. There was a lot of quarterbacks available, and we had to go get him because of what he could bring to the offense. And he's not producing like he should be. He's starting to. It's still not there yet. The 2 rushing touchdowns is great. You know, it would be even better if he had 2 passing touchdowns. 2 passing touchdowns, you got a different score, and now you got a score in the 40s and a beatdown that looks a lot more attractive to the committee when they're going to decide who the 12 best teams are. And we have to be in that squad. We have to be there. And we don't need the style points. Again, I think a win is a win is a win. 11-1 Notre Dame football team will be in, but they are looking for that reason to hold us out. Like I said, there's a couple of teams that are trying to push their way in and bump Notre Dame out. Memphis, is one of them. Boise State is another, and Navy and Army. Remember, the playoff is not just the flat for top 12 teams. That's not what the playoff is. The playoff is going to be the Power Four conference champions, the highest ranked conference group of 5 champion. So that's 5 conference champions automatically in. And they will have the group of 4 will have the top 4 seeds. And wherever that Power 5 team falls, I mean, it could be number 5, it could be number 12. Wherever they fall, they're going to make the playoff. So that's 5 teams automatically in, and that's going to be 7 at-large teams. We are not in a conference, so we have to have one of those 7 at-large teams. We have to be, really theoretically, we have to be a top 10 team to make the playoff. If we want to host, we need to be 5, 6, or 7. And the only thing that's going to do that, the only thing that's going to get the committee eyeballs on us is if we run up the score. I mean, that sounds horrible. I'm not that kind of a fan. I'm not that kind of a when I played, I believe in sportsmanship. But that's a part of the game. This is a perception sport. I've been talking about that all season from episode 1. As long as a group of people get into a room to decide who the best teams are, points matter. And we were all confidently told that Riley Leonard was brought in to be able to get around a 35 to 40. A 40-point mark is really what you want if you're considered one of the top 10 teams in the country, certainly one of the top 5 teams in the country, to be around 40 points a game, give or take. And we're not even close. Offensively, we're right at 32.5. That's our offensive output this season, and that is helped out big time by big wins versus Purdue and Stanford, 2 awful football teams. So going forward, I don't think we're going to get towards 50. I don't think we're going to get towards 40 points a game. In order to do that over our next 5 games, we'd have to average 40. We would have to average 50 points a game to get anywhere even close to that 40-point mark. We'd have to average 50 points a game. That's it's not going to happen. But these wins need to be convincing. Was this Georgia Tech win convincing enough? I'll tell you this. The announcers, at least, I'll give them this credit. After they got done telling us 5,000 times that Notre Dame had a 64% chance with a win and a 20% chance with a loss, they did say that at the very end of the game, if someone from the committee were watching this game, did they see enough from Notre Dame to be able to decide if they were one of the best 12 best? And I can't remember the color commentator's name who was commentating this game, but he was like, yeah, he did. He said yes. This is a tough physical football team, which we are, and I'm going to get into that. I mean, we're a tough physical football team. We beat the crap out of Georgia Tech. There's no buts about if ands or buts about that. We're a tough team. Getting into the positive side of this game, our defense is it's suffocating. Our defense is fantastic, and it's such a shame that this defense has to have this kind of offense in a year like this. I mean, especially when you consider what we've lost. I mean, you have All-American, first-round draft pick, Benjamin Morrison, go down with an injury. You got true freshman, Leonard Moore. Hey, man, we need you to step up. He's like, okay, coach, gotcha. And he shuts down one of the best wide receiving cores in the ACC. One of the best wide receiving cores, top 3 wide receiving cores that we'll face all year on this schedule. And I just shut him down. Led the team in tackles. Gotcha, coach. You need All-American play? I don't care if I'm a true freshman. I'll play All-American. I got that because I am the Terminator. I mean, he played amazingly. Leonard Moore played amazingly. Leonard Moore, do that every game the rest of the season. And for the love of God, Lord in heaven, please keep Leonard Moore safe all year from injury. Please allow this man to finish the season healthy. We desperately need him. He's the one we can't afford. He's now become the last one you don't want to lose. He's the last one. That's it. After Leonard Moore, Carson Hobbs is pretty good, but he's a true freshman too. And after Leonard Moore, now you're getting players playing out of position. Now you got Jordan Clark or Rod Hurd playing cover corner, and those guys are nickels. They're good. They're good nickels. That's why they're on the team. They're really good as nickels. They're not cover corner or safeties even. They would be better as safeties, but they're not. You don't want them covering every. You don't want those guys playing 76 snaps a game like Leonard Moore can, like he did against Louisville, and like similarly to like he did at Georgia Tech, just playing suffocating defense. Like that's not going to work out. If Leonard Moore goes down, we're in a pickle. We're in a big pickle. I mean, we're already in a pickle, but we're even more of a pickle if Leonard Moore gets hurt. So he had an amazing game. I'm really proud of him. Drake Bowen he is awakening into a monster of a Mike linebacker, man. I mean, he is and I love his nasty attitude. I mean, he is just violent and plays with a lot of violence, and he's just punishing guys out there. And he is about to have himself a day when we play Navy. I mean, the triple option is the kind of an offense that you want to play if you're a middle linebacker. Like you're smacking pads and helmets all day long. He is great at that. He was great at that against Georgia Tech on Saturday. And again, he's another one of those guys we just ill afford to lose. As long as we don't lose anybody else on defense, as long as we don't lose anyone else, we're fine. We're more than fine. We're still elite. Let me tell you how much of an elite defense this is. For the season per ESPN, we have an 80% stop rate. That's fourth in the country. That means 80% of all drives are going to end in a punt. That's phenomenal. That's really good. We need to keep that up. I think we're top 4 in pass defense because our secondary is so elite. Because we have All-Americans, or at least freshmen playing like All-Americans in the backfield, in the defensive backfield. Our defensive line is also starting to wake up. Riley Mills is starting to play like Riley Mills. This dude can get 2 or 3 tackles for loss a game, a sack or two a game, which is he's starting to roll. That is beautiful from him. He's in the backfield a lot. He is playing very, very well. Howard Cross, same thing. We need to get Jason Onye back. I don't know what's going on with him, but he's not hurt, which means we need him. So again, we don't know what's going on with him because we're fans and we don't get to know. So hopefully he comes back. I want to give a little perspective on Riley Leonard, just real quick. I know we've already talked about him, but I want to talk about his season stats. Right now, so let me give you his season stats. Right now, so he's 118 of 177. That's 66.7%. The completion percentage is pretty good. And he's actually starting to show that completions percentage. So earlier on in the season, the first couple of games, the completion percentage was around the same, but it wasn't the same. It was very skewed. That stat can be very skewed because he was making passes that are 5, 6, 7 yards, passes that I can do right now. So he's continuing this completion percentage with passes that include intermediate and downfield passes. So that's good. He's continuing to keep his completion percentage, which is really, really good. 1,182 yards a game. 1,182 yards for the season. 6 passing touchdowns with 3 interceptions. That ain't good. That would be a backup quarterback for a whole season. Those 2 stats right there. I mean, that's to give you a perspective. Our backup quarterback has 2 touchdowns. He's got 2, and Riley Leonard has 6 on the over 8 games, and he hasn't been hurt. 7 games, and he hasn't been hurt. So that obviously has to improve. Where that is being countered, the flip side of that coin, He's got 75 carries at 6.1 yards per carry, 456 yards, 10 touchdowns. He leads the team in rushing touchdowns. I believe he's top. He's one of the tops in the nation. I didn't check this out recently, but he's one of the tops in the nation in rushing or quarterbacks who with rushing touchdowns. 10 touchdowns. It's great, but you don't. My whole complaint for this whole season is you don't need him to do that. You have two All-American caliber running backs that can do that. And you need a quarterback to pass the ball and distribute it. And he hasn't been doing that. But it's getting better. It's getting better. For an overall, so he's got, let's see here, math, math is very much a part of the axis of evil. 1,182 plus 456. So, it's a little over 1,600 yards total, with 16 touchdowns total to 3 interceptions. Okay, it's getting better. It's getting better. It's not where it needs to be, but it's getting better. So I'm going to try and stay as positive I can about Riley Leonard. He's getting better. He's improving, and you can see that. If you want to have a little bit of national perspective, so I just gave you his stats. Carson Beck. I just picked a quarterback who's a starter for a Power 4 team, whom a lot of people would consider to be a top quarterback. Carson Beck is 165 for 250. That's 66% at 1,993 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. By the way, he's a starting quarterback for Georgia. And Georgia currently is the number 2 team in the nation. So he's got 0 rushing touchdowns, 65 rushing yards. That's all sack adjusted stuff because, he's not a running quarterback, and Riley Leonard is. So when you put that into perspective, I had to do that myself because I'm trying to find positive here. I'm trying to be positive about Riley Leonard, and I need to see. Sometimes you just got to see that side to side to be able to have that visual context. Is he having this horrible season? When you put the total yards from scrimmage together, well, he's not having that far of a season outside of the starting quarterback for the number 2 ranked team in the nation. So there's that. That's nice. He's actually got Carson Beck has 8 interceptions to Riley Leonard's 3, 15 total touchdowns to Riley Leonard's 16. So when you put it like that, when you put him in that kind of perspective, that when you put that lens on it, it helps. It helps. So if he can continue if the coaches can continue to use him how they've been using him the last 3 games, and he continues this production, anywhere between 200 and 250 yards passing and 50, 60, 70 yards rushing with, a combined between passing and rushing 2 to 3 touchdowns a game, that's great. Okay, that's fine. As long as that distribution of the ball is being utilized and we're getting our running backs and our wide receivers in the game too, the points are going to come. And the wins, more importantly, are going to come. So that's my positive take on Riley Leonard. Let's move on from the Georgia Tech game. It was a good win. Oh, just in case you guys didn't know, if Notre Dame won that game, they had a 64% chance of going to the college football playoff and a 20% chance of not going. So just wanted to let you guys know, just in case you forgot that. So Navy, the Naval Academy. I'm going to talk about this briefly, and it's hard for me to play the Naval Academy. I've got a lot of mixed feelings about it. I come from a Navy family. My grandpa, man, I mean, if you hail from a Navy family, and you are a non-commissioned, if you're an NCO, then you're called the chief. You're chief. You're the chief. My grandpa was the chief. Everyone knew him as the chief because he was a chief petty officer in the United States Navy, and he would let you know that he was. And I love that about him. And I love the Navy. I loved our armed services. I'm very patriotic. I love my country, and I love those who serve in uniform. So I have the highest respect for men and women in uniform, and I thank you so much for your service. And I love the Naval Academy. I love Navy, actually, very, very much. It is near and dear to my heart. So it's always hard to play them because it's a team you should, as a Notre Dame fan, you should always beat. You should always beat Navy, no matter how good or bad they are. And it's one of those things where it's becoming more and more, and it's certainly going to become more and more of an, I don't want to say issue, but it's going to become a topic if and when we join a conference. But going forward, as a Notre Dame fan, it's becoming more and more hard to play Navy. Why is that? Well, a couple reasons. The perception is, again, a game of college football, a game of perception. You should always beat the Naval Academy. Always, no matter what, no matter how good or bad they are. So if you lose to them, it's bad. It doesn't matter if they're ranked in the top 15, which that's happened. And in the last 10, 15 years, they've had some high rankings. But that doesn't matter. We should. It's because it's the Naval Academy. We should still win. And if they're terrible, like last year in 2023, it does nothing for you. It does nothing. It's one of those games where win or lose, it doesn't benefit Notre Dame football at all. It just doesn't. And the only reason why we do it, why we continue to do it, is the history that the Naval Academy has with Notre Dame. And if those of you don't know, you can look that up about what Notre Dame and the Naval Academy and their relationship during World War II. It's awesome. I love it. And if that were the only reason why we played the Naval Academy for eternity, that would be fine. That would be fine. So I'm not one of those people that's going to advocate, not playing the Naval Academy. But it's worth mentioning. It needs to be said that playing the Naval Academy, or any of the academies for that matter, this is not going to help us. For one thing, they are ranked. So if and when we beat them on Saturday, we'll have something in our resume for the committee. A win over a ranked team. It doesn't matter that it's the Naval Academy. We don't pick who the ranked teams are. We just play them. We have to play who's on our schedule, and whoever is ranked, and whoever isn't. And the Naval Academy is one of those teams. By the way, Army is ranked as well, and they probably will be ranked when we play them as well too. So they're going to be ranked, and if and when we win, I should say. That'll be a win against a ranked team. So that is good. That is good. Will the committee continue to rank Navy if they keep winning? Will the AP poll or in the coaches poll continue to rank Navy if they keep winning? So they're ranked, I think, 24th right now in the AP poll. Either 24th or 25th. They're low down there. So if they lose, if we beat them, it'll be a team. It'll be a win versus a ranked team when we play them. But next week, sorry about that. Got a little too excited. Next week, when we play them, or I'm sorry, next week they won't be ranked anymore when the new rankings come out. So I think there's going to be one or two more games until the first committee poll, college football playoff poll comes out. Will the committee, if Navy keeps winning, will they have them ranked? Because if they do, having 2 wins versus current ranked teams, not just ranked teams when you played them, and the reason why this is important is because, for example, Michigan has a win versus a ranked team. Michigan's got a win versus a top 10 team. That top 10 team was USC, and USC is now 4-3, and they're not in the top 25 anymore. So that win doesn't hold as much weight, right? Same thing with Notre Dame and Louisville. Louisville was ranked 15th when we played them. Well, they've lost 2 of 3 since we played them, and they're not ranked anymore. So that win no longer has any weight. Texas A&M, however, not only were they ranked when we played them, they're still ranked. And by the way, top of the SEC right now in wins. They're 4-0 in the SEC, 6-1 on the season. They got a big game this weekend against LSU. That would be huge for Notre Dame. Huge for Notre Dame if Texas A&M could keep winning. Maybe even win the SEC. Who knows? We got a down Bama team this year, so there's always going to be another 2-3 teams up there. that are going to be competing with Georgia and probably Texas. And Texas A&M's playing pretty well. They're looking pretty good. So if they keep winning, that's good for Notre Dame. If we beat Navy, that's good for Notre Dame against the ranked team. But will the committee continue to rank them? I don't know. And it's kind of it's a gamble. It's just a gamble playing Navy every single year, and that's the life of a Notre Dame fan. I'm hearing also, I haven't watched any game film or anything. I'm hearing also that this Navy team is pretty good. So one of the best Navy teams in recent memory. They're not just strictly a triple option team anymore. They take a lot of snaps. If you're a triple option team, for those that don't know, then you take most of your snaps under center. This Navy team is going to take about half their snaps from shotgun, which is not normal for a triple option team. They pass way more than they have normally in the past. And that's huge for Navy. If they can, good thing is we are one of the best pass defenses in the country, but how much of us needing to sell out for the triple option is that going to affect our pass defense? And how much of a threat is our offense going to be to their defense? Now, it should be a big one, right? That's usually where Notre Dame wins these games, is our offense, whatever they're, or where Navy wins the games. If Navy can stop our offense, there's a real good chance we're going to lose. So we need to score points. Going back to the conversation we're having earlier, is it the biggest deal to beat Navy 56-0? No, it's not. But it helps. It helps. It not just helps with the perception of the game and with the College Football Playoff Committee, but it helps actually winning the game. We need to score points to beat this Navy team because they are going to score points too. They're going to. And they're gonna limit our, because of the style of their offense, they're gonna limit how many times we get the ball. So that's gonna be tough. That's what's coming up. Again, I love the Naval Academy, I really do. But I want to beat you this weekend because I want to go to the college football playoff. In order to do that, we got to keep winning. And if Notre Dame wins and continues to win, don't worry, we will go to the playoff. We will go to the playoff, despite what everyone else says and what everyone else thinks. We only have a 64% chance of going to the playoff with a win over Georgia Tech, or a 20% chance if we lost. So, again, just in case you didn't hear me the first 17,000 times. So that's gonna be it for the show today. I'll try to get a show in on a Sunday night to get a more raw reaction on the game. But in the meantime, again, please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you know every single time a show pops up. I'm still getting new to this, still getting used to this. So if you guys have any suggestions, anyone out there have any suggestions on things that could be done better, please don't hesitate to put that into the comment section. And if you're rude, I'll just delete you. So if you're not, then I really appreciate it. That'd be awesome. So without any further ado, my name is Danny. This is the Irish Fan Podcast. Now I'm done.